Part 1. Why Literacy? Hi, this is Karen, and I want to thank you so much for being part of this professional development this summer. The fact that you would spend part of your summer thinking about school librarianship topics places you in a leadership role, in my opinion. I have titled this course Leadership in Literacy Instruction, and before we do much of anything else in class, I wanted to explain where I was going with this title and why I think literacy instruction needs to be pulled to the forefront. And then in the next clip, I'm going to get in more depth into the federal and professional standards that back up this direction. As educators, I think we face a lot of competing interests for our instructional time. For example, as state and national standards change, we have to react accordingly. When I worked as a middle school librarian, the Common Core standards, which were putting a focus on informational text, were coming in, and I had to adjust my collection development strategy accordingly. Another example is the emphasis on STEM education in recent years, whereby librarians have been encouraged to add books and materials to support the STEM subjects, even to incorporate makerspaces or computer programming classes into their libraries. A focus on STEM, as well as the other shifts to support standards changes over the years, are certainly very important, and I think it's always worthwhile to try new things in the library and to pull in different interests. However, with all of the competing interests and standards changes and all the other things that have come our way as librarians, I wanted to pull the focus back to our basic goal of literacy. And by literacy, I'm not really referring to information literacy, which is certainly another one of those important needs which we teach in the library. But no, right now, I'm referring simply to the ability to read proficiently. In 2017, we still have a big problem with literacy in this country, a problem which disproportionately affects those who live in poverty. According to the nonprofit proliteracy.org, of adults with the lowest literacy levels, 43% live in poverty, and 70% of adult welfare recipients have low literacy levels. Because nearly half of Americans cannot read at an 8th grade level, this translates into other problems. For instance, it's estimated that over $230 billion a year in health costs are linked to low adult literacy rates. Since these adults have lower reading ability, they have a hard time understanding health information, therefore impeding their ability to make appropriate health decisions. Sadly, these problems often carry on to the next generation. Children of parents with low literacy skills have a 72% chance of being at the lowest reading levels themselves. And illiteracy is even linked to adult jail time. 75% of prison inmates at the state level are classified as low literate. How many of today's prisoners had a reading problem or even a reading disability such as dyslexia at a young age, one which was never properly addressed? We'll never know. However, one thing is certain. When a child doesn't develop strong reading skills in elementary school, it is very difficult to catch up. And we've all seen it lead to accompanying problems such as behavior problems and poor grades. We still have a lot of children falling between the cracks when it comes to literacy, and this is a big problem that will affect them into adulthood. We have got to make reading proficiency the most important instructional goal. Because if our students can't read well, then they certainly aren't going to do well in their other subjects. Now, I know I'm preaching to the choir here. Obviously, we wouldn't be in this profession if we didn't care about the importance of literacy. It has just been my observation that because school librarians lack specific instructional goals as defined by the state, we can sometimes be pulled in a variety of different instructional directions. I would like to kind of pull back and look at our literacy role and possible ways that we can expand it. After all, literacy is what we do. For example, when we encourage students to pick up a new book through our book talks, or entice students to try a new genre through short read-alouds. But beyond student motivation techniques, many MLS programs don't go into a lot of detail regarding the nuts and bolts behind how literacy works. I know I personally received no literacy training in my MLS beyond student reading motivation techniques. And as librarians, we need to know some of these mechanics behind the process of reading. The recent ESSA legislation has made this more important than ever because it stipulates the creation of the school's literacy instruction team. ESSA mandates that schools include classroom teachers, reading specialists, and school librarians on this team as members of a group who will work together to create enhanced literacy instruction in the classroom. This is a very valuable opportunity for school librarians. We are so often told that we have to advocate for our work by collaborating with classroom teachers so that they will understand our strengths and value to instruction, and that by forging these co-teaching relationships, teachers will in turn advocate on our behalf to school administrators. This is all very true, and it is my observation that ESSA gives us a leg up in justifying our school literacy role. And so, while the longstanding traditional literacy domain of school librarians has been in student reading motivation, my goal with you this summer is to expand that role to meet the new challenges of the ESSA legislation. I want to give you additional background in literacy and specifically reading comprehension so that you can increase your co-teaching, strengthen and expand your range of skills, and thereby offer more to your schools.